So, for people looking to come, maybe to set up business here, you've been here for like a while now. Like, what if I would ask you, if there were three things, right, that you could say, these are the three things or the three qualities
for them to have to get along really well in Indonesia?
Yes.
All countries are different, so it depends where you're coming from. I came from Sydney, so very fast paced, very regimented, expectations are different. Indonesia is a slower pace. So the quality of the work is just as good, and the quality of the staff is just as good, and the outputs for the business is just as good. But because you're dealing with different culture, different people, you have to be cognizant of that. You have to have, and I think that you have to have patience and understanding and tolerance, and you've got to slot into their way of life. You can't come here and just expect that things are going to be done as they were done in Sydney. It doesn't work like that.
Hi everyone, my name is Robert Ian Bonnick, the tourism architect. Welcome back to the Emma Hub Member and Community Spotlight. Now today we're going to be interviewing Kalli Marshall from Kalli Marshall Agency, and as you know, Emma Hub are the leading market entry service providers. Come on, let's go meet Kalli. Hi everybody, we're here with the beautiful Kalli Marshall from Kalli Marshall Agency. And as you know, this is part of Emma Hub's Community Spotlight, Member and Community Spotlight. And the next 10 episodes will be about this, how do you set up business in Bali and all the different challenges that face foreigners, expats, locals as well, because obviously Emma Hub are there to make that life, facilitate that life, make it easier for us to actually do it. So look, Kalli, welcome again.
And, thank you.
And welcome for bringing us to your office and your home. It's most appreciated.
My pleasure. It's lovely to be here.
Yes. So look, PR, and actually I think the best way to start us off would be, how would you describe yourself and in terms of what you do, the service that you offer?
Okay, so I'm Kalli, I'm Australian obviously, and I've been in Bali around 5 years. My background is public relations, social media, and I spent about 14 years working in sort of big advertising integrated firms in Sydney. And then I wanted to translate that offering to Indonesia because this is the place that I wanted to reside.
I mean, why PR? Like when you're growing up, as a kid, was it like, what, Mommy, when I grow up, I want to be in PR? Like, when did you know that was going to be your road, your pathway?
I don't think it was actually a conscious choice. I was always scholastic, and I knew that that comms, communications, that sort of thing was something that I naturally leaned towards. And so when I went to university in Australia, I studied communications, media, journalism, and there were sort of facets of public relation in amongst that particular degree. And I don't think it was until I moved to London actually that I really sort of refined what I wanted to do. I was actually a Londoner that said to me, you should go into public relations with your mouth. So from there, it just sort of naturally happened.
And so you mentioned before that you had this great experience, internationally, from the UK to Bali and other regions of APAC. So then what was the reason for moving to Indonesia, to Bali, in terms of doing your business?
God, I think like a lot of Aussies, my dad actually started surfing here in 1974, so a long time ago. And we've been holidaying here off and on since we were kids. And then my dad was an Indo teacher, so we had a lot of experience with Balinese people and the culture and sort of spending time here. It was a really fond, nostalgic place and memory for me. And then I've got a little boy, so I wanted to raise him with a little bit more freedom and culture and different languages and people than Sydney. And so that seemed like quite a natural transition for me.
Got it. And so there's different structures. People can come here and set up a public, a PMA, as we call it, You can set up a PT local. Now, you decided on a different structure, so you didn't decide to set up a PMA like most people would think. So which structure did you decide to set up, and what kind of challenges did you come across trying to do that?
Well, I initially started trying to do it myself, which was just fraught with so many challenges until I found EMAHub. And they were amazing. They made the process really streamlined for me. They gave me lots of different options in terms of how I wanted to structure the business and set it up. I actually went with a KP3A visa, which I don't know if many WLA or expats or international people wanting to set a business up know about, but it was certainly one that appealed to me because I already had clients that were in Australia, so some in Sydney, a couple in Adelaide, and some in Canberra. So I wanted to retain that, and I always wanted to service clients across APAC. So I didn't want to come here and create a business in solidarity and just service Indonesian clients. I wanted to retain those clients and grow the business across the APAC region. So for that reason, I wanted to retain the business I'd already set up in Sydney, and then have an office in Indonesia. So I know I wanted to base myself here and have staff here, and the KP3A visa allows you to do that. So essentially you retain your office structure in whichever country you're from, and then you set up like it's a remote office in Indonesia. And so most of the benefits and everything are the same, but you have to have a director in another country. You can't sign contracts here, and you can't run physical events on the ground here. And all of those things were easy for me. They were totally solvable. And I suppose then you adhere to the legalities of your own country too. So it was just a little bit more risk adverse for me at the time because I was coming in, I didn't know much about the compliance here. So it gave me a little bit more time to learn about what I wanted to do. So if I wanted to transfer to a PMA at a later point, I can do that. But this just offered me a little bit more flexibility.
Wonderful, wonderful. Yeah. And so how are you set up now? Like how many staff, from the organizational standpoint?
Yeah, so I've got 5 staff here, including myself, and then I still have people that work for me in Australia. And then looking to obviously extend to, I've got 1 client in Singapore at the moment, and then looking to extend to Malaysia as well. And so I've got, with my staff here, I've got, with the KP3, actually it's probably pertinent to mention that you can also provide kitasas to people that work for you too. So I've got Indonesian staff here, which is amazing, they're great. And then I've got 1 employee that she's based in Indonesia, but she's from Malaysia originally. So it just allows me, and I provided a kitas to her, so it allows me to have more breadth and skill set, within my team, because she speaks Malaysian, she has new business contacts and leads in Malaysia. So it does give you that flexibility and capacity. So it's probably key to mention.
Got it. And for those of you watching, so a kitas here in Indonesia basically gives you permission to stay and to work legally. So that's what the word kitas means, in case you're wondering what kitas is. So, but on that staff, point, what have been some of the biggest challenges that you've faced here recruiting? Has it been an easy process recruiting Indonesian staff? And what kinds of problems or challenges have you come across?
It's like anywhere. I suppose you get so used to what your own country does, and then, Australia is very regimented in terms of recruitment. So you could just go to an agency and find staff. Indonesia is a bit different. I think the systems that they use, whilst there is a couple of agencies that recruit here on the island, most of the recruitment is done via Facebook and WhatsApp. So there are some really great, I suppose WhatsApp to a large degree in Australia is still considered consumer-led, but people do use it a lot for business here. So there are, recruiting Facebook groups, there's business groups. So I found that is a great avenue. There's a couple of recruitment agencies that I've gone through, and they're quite good. They and I suppose what's different about going through a recruiter here based in Bali is that they have the opportunity to then help you find people in Jakarta. And I find that there's some really good talent in Jakarta as well. Bali does have great talent, but if you're looking for somebody who's maybe been to Australia and gone to university, or somebody that's, has a different skill set that you require, Jakarta is probably the place to go.
Got it. So then we're talking a lot about, Australians, foreigners coming to Indonesia, to Bali. to set up business, to work, to create this incredible lifestyle, right? As well, to have both. So, for people looking to come, maybe to set up business here, you've been here for like a while now, like what, if I would ask you, if there were 3 things, right, that you could say, these are the 3 things or the 3 qualities that you really need to have to ensure that you have the best experience here?
Oh my God, I already know what this is.
Which 3 qualities would they be?
For them to have to get along really well in Indonesia?
Yes.
All countries are different, so it depends where you're coming from. I came from Sydney, so very fast paced, very regimented, expectations are different. Indonesia is a slower pace. So the quality of the work is just as good, and the quality of the staff is just as good, and the outputs for the business is just as good. But because you're dealing with different culture, different people, you have to be cognizant of that. You have to have, and I think that you have to have patience and understanding and tolerance, and you've got to slot into their way of life. You can't come here and just expect that things are going to be done as they were done in Sydney. It doesn't work like that. So, there's different religions here, there's different cultural festivals, you've got to be cognizant and understanding and flexible as it relates to all of that too, because that's their lifestyle. You're coming here into their world, not vice versa. So yeah, tolerance and patience would be number 1, so that you guys can work out what your flow is. I think that's really important. What else do you need? Good sun hats, hot all the time. No. I think you need to set yourself up with really good support systems around you. So I think coming here and expecting that you can do it all yourself, you will not be able to. Indonesia is a really complex system, and you need to be compliant, because if you're not compliant, like lots of people aren't here, you will get kicked out. So like finding EMA was just an absolute godsend to me, because I get them to do like so many different facets of my business. They even pay all my staff wages. They do all my tax. They do all my compliance. They do all the visas. They do all the contracts. Like, you can just engage them. And having that level of trust that I can say, hey, I need this to be done. And knowing that I am adhering to all the rules and regulations, I can concentrate on what I'm really good at, which is PR and marketing. And they can do all the rest for me. So that saves me a lot of time. So I would say find your people to support you, and that will ensure that your business runs streamlined. And then I would say, like, just don't be hasty to come and set everything up all at once. Like, I've lived here for a few years. I'm now buying a house and renovating, but you kind of got to come here, meet people, find your groups of friends, find where you want to live, sort of ingratiate yourself, learn the language and the culture, like let yourself just sort of like have a soft entry to begin with. Because I think if you come here and you're expecting everything to be done straight away, I think that's where you sort of run into maybe being disappointed or just, I don't know, finding it more challenging. I think just, go with the flow here. That's one of the beautiful things about this country, that you can slow down a little bit.
Yeah. And one thing, what we both have in common is that we both have family here, right? Little
ones. Yep, little
so
ones.
Maybe there's some people here, because it's a lifestyle move.
It is.
So many people here realize that, having children in Australia has a certain vibe to it, has a certain feeling about it, has a certain structure to it. And then coming to a place like Bali, for example, we know we have help. We can do more with less. But in terms of you, when it comes to family, because business is mum, it's everyone, right? Who's involved. Now, are there any just one tip? If someone's looking to come here with their family, a young child, what comes up as you to be something that's really important for them to have in their awareness?
Well, I mean, the whole reason that I did move from Sydney to Bali was because I wanted, I know it sounds super cliche, but more work-life balance. So I think all of us, when we're asked, if you had all the money in the world, what would you do with it? How would you spend your time? And everyone always says, I would spend more time with my family, I would travel. Bali really affords you an opportunity to have more work-life balance. I'm a single mum, and I started the business by myself, like, you know, a solo parent when my little boy was tiny, and I would never have been able to do that. And I talked about support structures in business before, but support structures personally as well. You know, my nanny is Indonesian. She is like my sister. You know, she is the most incredible support for me, and she's helped me raise my little boy. We moved back here when he was only 6 months old, and I was breastfeeding at the time and able to work from home and breastfeed him. Now he goes to kindy, and you know, I still work from home sometimes, but getting an external office too. But you've got this flexibility to choose how you spend your time and to work when you want to work. Obviously, always ensuring that you're delivering on your clients' KPIs, but do have that flexibility because there is more support and it's affordable. Like when I was in Australia visiting family, you know, Mako had to go to kindy full time because I needed to work, and I just didn't have anyone else to help. I mean, my parents helped, but you know what kids are like, they're full on. You don't want to leave them with the grandparents the whole time. But yeah, being in Indonesia, you know, I've got someone to help with the housework. I've got someone to help with the childcare. You know, I've got a gardener. You know, my next door neighbour drops my little boy off to school every day, so we have a driver. And those people are like extended members of my family. They're trusted people in my family, and they make my life so much more enriched because one, I have that relationship with them, and two, I trust them with my child, but it means I get to spend more time with my child. And that is just, for a single mum that owns her own business, that time that I get to spend with him is everything. And it is the entire reason that I moved.
Love that.
And that I stayed, you know? Yeah, so that's really, really important. So anyone with a family that is looking to spend more time with your partner or spend more time with your kids, it makes a huge difference here.
Wonderful. And for those of you watching now, so we're just coming out of this time of COVID in a way. So the last couple of years, you know, we've been under lockdown. Well, Bali has had a different kind of lockdown. I'm so glad I've been here and nowhere else in the world. I'm sure it's the same for you. It's been amazing. Yeah. But now, you know, the international flights are back in. People are actually on those flights. The airports are actually open.
Yeah.
So now we're really, you know, beginning to enter this period of growth and kind of returning in a way. Yeah. On the road to returning to where we're pre-COVID, ideally better. I mean, where do you think that we're going actually as you're in the space of travel and tourism?
Well, if traffic is any indication, I feel like we're already back there. No, that's just like expats whinging, isn't it? No, I think, I mean, Bali always bounces back. And I think, you know, Australians love coming here to holiday. Europeans love coming here to holiday. I think it's already super busy. So no, I think we're definitely going to bounce back. I think we'll see that in the coming months. But I think, you know, it is competitive, and you know, I'm trying to find my parents a place to rent at the moment. So even the rental market is it's doubled in terms of what they're asking for properties. So I think everybody's aware that people are coming back and it is busy.
Got it. And then even though you've got, you know, a wonderful company like Emma Hub behind you, you know, like what kind of research do you think that someone's looking to set up here should do?
That was challenging. That was really challenging. If I could offer any advice, just go straight to Emma Hub. Don't try and do it yourself. I did, you know, because there's singular agents here as well. You know, there's research you can do, you know, on Facebook and Google and things like that. But I mean, it's not comparative to like Australia, the level of research that you could get. You really have to, a lot of the research is anecdotal. So, you know, you have to talk to other people. You know, I think like watching people's blog posts on something like this will give you a really good indication of like at least a base level. Do you know what I mean? But if you can find companies like Emma Hub to support you from the get-go, you find it so much easier. If you're trying to do it yourself and you're trying to sort of navigate legalities and a baseline, it's incredibly laborious in terms of how much time you're going to have to dedicate to get an understanding of where everything is at, and that takes time away from your business. So,
and I mean, you know, for those of you watching this, you know, so as Kalli mentioned, very anecdotal. In a lot of countries you can, jump on Google, you can jump on and this online space and work it all out. One of the things which I noticed coming here was the lack of online presence of key companies, and so the research is missing a huge step. Right?
I completely agree, and that's why most of the research is anecdotal.
Yeah.
It's mostly on social media platforms where people are sharing their frustrations, that there's no one space where you can source that information. And also you want to feel like you've got trusted information too. Yeah. So as much as that information is anecdotal and you go, oh, okay, cool, at least that gives me a base, you also sort of go, well, I want something that is more concrete than that. That's why I think that working with EMA Hub is so good, because you go, okay, cool, they've done this before, they know what they're doing. It just gives you a little bit of relief.
Yeah. And so people now have watched you. Now, let's say they want to reach out to you, they want to, dive into seeing, well, Kalli Marshall Agency, how can they contact you, and what are the processes for becoming a client?
Just either jump onto my website. So it's www.kallimarshall.com. My name is spelled weird. It's KALLIMARSHALL. So just kallimarshall.com. There's a form there. You can just contact us via the form, or you can contact me via WhatsApp. We have a work phone. It's +61 433 987 396. Actually, that's one of the things that's different about Indonesia than Australia. Everyone uses WhatsApp here for professional. In Australia, we would never use WhatsApp. They'd be like, I'll just WhatsApp it to you. And I'm like, really? Okay. So WhatsApp is a totally professional service here, so everybody uses it. You can just reach out via WhatsApp. You can jump on the website, or you can email me. It's Kalli at kallimarshall.com. And then usually what we would do is I have a reverse brief. I just jump on a phone call with you, and we just chat through what your business objectives are, what you want to achieve, what your commercial outcome.
Wonderful.
It's pretty straightforward.
Yeah. So Kalli, there are many people here, maybe watching from Australia, who maybe have an idea about what the culture is in Bali when it comes to business, what the sentiment is like in business. And it's really nice to sit down and have a conversation with someone like yourself, who's been in business in different countries, to give people like a really good insight into what business or doing business is like in Bali, and what kind of culture is in Bali when it comes to business that you think might be different than, for example, in Sydney or Australia. And what would you say?
I think people would be really surprised in relation to the business acumen in Bali, because I think everyone just has this sort of perception that it's laid back and no one works and it's kind of cruisy and what have you. But there are the people that come here that are smart, innovative entrepreneurs. It's kind of the opposite. We are faced with this beautiful sunshine every single day that we want to be outside. We have to be incredibly self-disciplined and motivated. And because sometimes there aren't some of the support systems or ways of working, or things that have been established like in a Western community, we need to seek those out. We need to rely on the support of other expats in our community to really make our businesses successful. So I would say that the business acumen here is strong. There is multiple events that are on all the time. There's TEDx, there's things happening on a global scale. And I think if you actually come here and you ingratiate yourself into an expat community and the business community, Jakarta included, you'll see that there is really creative, innovative stuff going on here. There is a lot of money, there is a lot of discipline, and there are some really, really, really dynamic people that have come because, they have these ideas. They are disciplined business people, but they also want a work-life balance. So the business acumen certainly hasn't been affected by wanting lifestyle. I think it's equal parts. And so I think it's a really flourishing community here.
Thank you for joining us. My name is Robert Ian Bonnick, the tourism architect. Today we've been talking to Kalli Marshall of Kalli Marshall Agency for the EMA Hub Member and Community Spotlight. Look forward to seeing you on the next one. Bye for now.
Thank you.